Hey everyone, it's Jay here. I'm sorry for the past couple weeks. I wanted to throw something up on the feed here just to have it on there. Basically, what happened was last month. Originally my plan was I was going to be moving to New Jersey now in the middle of August, but I wound up having to do it in the middle of July, about a month ahead of time. So it was sort of sudden. I just had to pack everything up and go. But it was a neat drive. I'm sure I'll talk more about it with Winslow when we do our proper episode. I swear I didn't intend for this to be a huge cliffhanger like this. We were going to record all three of them at once. I was just tired. It was like, let's just do the third one later. And then all this stuff happened. So again, I apologize. I didn't suspend the Patreon because, I'm moving. So I need money for deposits and stuff. But I am going to try and put something up there to make up for that. So yeah, so basically just, we're still here. Once mid-September is when my apartment should be opening up because I moved to Atlantic City, and that's like a beach city. It's like everything was full for the summer, but then in fall is when the apartments open up again. So that'll be nice. The new job has been going fantastic. I wanted to say I'm sure I'll have more stuff to talk about that with Winslow. So, but I did want to do a little reading for you all since you've been so patient. So, I wanted to do a mini-sode. This is actually going to be a short one. Don't worry. It's called The Motherfucking Flash. It was a post from Something Awful's Batman Shameful Secret subforum, the one dedicated to comic books. Couldn't find the exact post. I can only find a repost of it because this became kind of like a copy pasta that was circulated on the internet. But the premise was this was posted in the 2000s before superhero movies were really, as we know them, were much of a thing. And it was kind of just like people were actually just talking about comic book characters as comic book characters. And one of the things was, a big part of that was arguing about who you think was the best, who would win in a fight. If you've ever spent time around nerds, you know that like Superman versus Goku or whatever. We've all heard them before. So this one is, and I like this one a lot because it really sort of it really embodies that sort of 2000s maximalism. I guess I don't know what the exact term, but it is, I guess, epic baconry is sort of what I would call it, where it is very, very much of that sort of I like this thing, and I'm going to convince you it's cool by using a lot of compound swears and talking about how awesome it is. So, anyways, I was thinking of this because this summer was the Flash movie came out and bombed horribly, maybe and to the point where I feel like every year for about 20 years now, people have been going, the superhero movie fad is over. And so I don't really put any stock in that at all. At some point you have to realize, you've said that 15 years in a row, at some point you just gotta call a mulligan and find something else to try and predict the future on. But no, the Flash has been doing so bad that legitimately, especially as the punchline to all of the other stuff that Warner Brothers has been going through with Zaslav and all this, basically it's fantastic. I don't need to talk about this. There's so much more out there, but it had me thinking about the Flash, and it had me thinking about the superhero, the DC superhero, the Flash, whose power is that he runs fast. And this is a post, so I'm going to read it. And it's about how the Flash is a super, super cool superhero. All right. The motherfucking Flash. Now, I don't know how many of you dogs of the scurvious sea read comics, but I do a big pile of comics. One thing that blows my mind is how completely insane the powers in the DC universe are. Look at Superman. That guy has more powers than French restaurants have ways to say your tasted wine is atrocious. He has powers to do with every part of his body and then some. He forgets powers sometimes. He could shoot heat rays out of his eyes, frost breath from his mouth, and red sun radiation from his rear end. And he's that sort of crazy dude. All because he absorbs solar radiation. Look at Batman. His power? The anti-power. Sure, he should be some tame kung fu master of not much, but instead he's the hottest shit to ever shit on a plate. You got a power? He'll find your weakness and give you seizures or heart attacks. He'll light you on fire when you're sleeping or make you recharge your Green Lantern ring in the power outlet. 10,000 volts of fuck you, Batman. That's Batman. But the fucking Flash, my fucking God, this man has the greatest powers of all. If Superman's powers are being sucked off by twin supermodels and Batman coming home to discover your wife is not only bisexual but has 2 friends she wants to get in on, then the Flash is an orgy with 1,000 women who also want to pay your World of Warcraft billing and click the mouse for you. This man is just that fucking hot. They have to power him down in the comics half the time just to keep him from doing everyone else's job. Okay, first off, he can travel at light speed. Motherfuck! Not only does he travel at light speed, but time slows down for him. So he feels like he's having a casual jog or reading the paper. Meanwhile, his feet are moving so fast, you can hear him coming from Montana. Well, he's already gotten to Arizona. That's fucking fast. But wait! The ability to move at light speed just isn't fucking enough. I know, this guy can punch you so many times in a second, you've been hit 5 times in the cock and 2 times everywhere else. You think you're about to fight the Flash, and then it hits you for the last split second. He's beamed your beanbags with more blows than you had sperm. But no, there's more. The Flash can also vibrate through walls. Now, last I heard, you cannot move so fast that you can vibrate through walls. So what actually happens is the Flash is so fast, he can pick and choose the movement of his individual molecules and move them through other solid objects, phasing through solid matter like it ain't no thing. I mean, you think a guy who runs at light speed would run into shit, but no, the Flash just goes right through them. To top that with a cherry and some whipped cream, which the Flash made in like a millisecond, fucker, he can selectively choose to cause objects to be okay afterward or fucking explode. That's right, he can run through you and make you blow up by transferring kinetic energy into you. Like Jesus. It's bad enough you can't hit this guy, but he doesn't even have to punch you. Now your testicles have exploded and you're thinking you're about to hit him. Jesus, just give it up. He's the fucking Flash. Now, imagine that somehow there's someone who can get around the Flash blowing your balls up secret ninja technique. Okay, he can also control the flow of energy between objects. This power makes no sense, but basically he can throw a rock at you, and you think it's going slow, and then he's like, woohoo, wizardly Flash powers, and bam, it's going at light speed. So he can throw 7 million rocks at you in a second, and then make them all go different speeds, thus striking your nads with 7 million rocks, one after the other. But wait, there's more. He can also take energy from the very power of speed and make clothes out of it. Yes, the Flash makes his pants out of goes fast. The man is so fast, he can make Flash pants that goes fast go right into. I don't even start to understand the physics of that, but basically, speed equals really tight underwear and cool lightning thingies over the ear. You would think this is the end of it, but okay, let's say Flash is fighting Superman and shit, he's going to lose. How the fuck is Superman this fucking strong? I don't know, he must be Superman fused with Batman into some sort of guy with tons of plans on how to punch you far harder than anyone else. Okay. To end it off, the Flash can go backward or forward in time on command. How do you beat this dude? You're thinking you're hashing him good, laying down the beatdown, missing your balls, and suddenly, bam, your mom fell down the stairs 20 years ago, and there's a dent in your forehead, and Superman not thunk so good no more. Actually, she didn't fall down the stairs. The Flash put speed into them, so they fell up her. Fuck you, Flash! Oh yeah, lastly, his greatest power is he isn't fast in bed. He takes it slow and gets all the ladies with his superpowers, then actually satisfies them in the sack. Who the hell is this guy? You'd think he'd at least be a premature ejaculator since his penis is moving at light speed, but no, he's even good in bed. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why Wolverine sucks cock and should go die in a freak grease fire. Yeah, that is, to find this, I searched for the phrase pants made of goes fast because that was the thing that stuck with me. Like, this was one of those things that like blew up on BSS and then very quickly, for a while it was a bannable offense to quote this post or to copy paste it just because people were running it into the ground so much. So yeah, like pants made of goes fast is one of those phrases that like if you went into like GoonCon 2008 and shouted over the microphone, you'd get like a Pavlovian Twitch response from like half the audience. So yeah, just some silly stuff there. Don't worry, we got the finale of the Brigador trilogy going to be dropping. We haven't recorded it yet, but hopefully I'm recording this on August 24th. September is when my data rolls around, so I should be able to do I don't want to talk about my technical stuff, but I should be able to do it then. Like, I've been living out of hotels for the past I'm on my 6th week of living out of hotels now, and like all the hotels I'm staying at are cheap ones with weekly rates, so it's like they don't have Wi-Fi, so it's been kind of like I've been a little stir crazy, but since I'm being paid more, I finally made the jump to upgrade my data plan to unlimited data, which is awesome. But also there's like a limit on the tethering you can do. So like I have unlimited data on my phone, but like to plug it into my laptop to do like the calls and save everything in the backups. And like I said, just boring technical stuff. And Winslow has been very good about this. We say it every episode, but go check out his card game if you haven't. It's been fun to see him working on it, and it means a lot to him. And I can tell it's he's at the point now where he's still doing playtesting, but now it's kind of like where the grind starts, where it's just having to illustrate hundreds of cards and just organizing all these, like, now is like, the fun part's kind of over, if to my perspective at least. So I'm here for him, and I want to support him, because I think making it's a big undertaking, and I'm really impressed with the work he's done, and I'm hoping it does good for him. And like my thing is, like, I feel like even if I'm rooting for him, and I'm glad that the show is something that will help with that. So anyways, check that out. I guess now they got the reading out of the way, I can talk some more. This is actually my second time trying to do this. Thursdays are my days off, and last week I tried to do this, but I'm living in New Jersey, which is the state weed is legal here, and my first month here, it's kind of like when you're 21 and like you can buy alcohol for the first time. It's kind of like a learning experience. So yeah, last week it was so legal weed, and also it was like I've been using this like small crummy like rubber bong for a while, and I was like, what, I should treat myself. And so I got like a nice big piece of glassware, and it hit me like so hard that when I did the recording afterwards, it was like I wanted to put on the Patreon because I thought it was kind of funny how out of it I was, but Winslow kind of vetoed that because like I agree. Like, I'm someone who personally finds, like, I think someone being very obviously drunk or high is not funny or entertaining in and of itself, and is in fact pretty annoying when you're not part of it. But but in this case, it was but in this particular case, I thought it was like we'll see. I guess that makes it the second thing I've recorded that was too bad to ever put up on the feed. The first was one I did with Winslow, where I was trying to do an episode about goon raids. It's a thing that goons do, where like in multiplayer games, their guild or whatever, they'll get together and they'll like invade a game and grief it or do funny things. And I was trying to find one that was like accessible to people, so I found one where they invaded these online, like sort of like an online dating game, basically like a 2000s web game that was kind of like a Jackbox type game where you could come up with answers. And like I thought, and it was not enough to sustain a whole episode. and Winslow, I think Winslow in particular did not appreciate like just every single one of them was kind of the same joke. Just like a lady asked a question, guy responds inappropriately, and like there were some funny ones, but it was a learning. It was that was when I was like, okay, what, if I don't have a document ready for a week, we should just call that week instead of trying to work with like something I put together really quickly. But anyways, let me think. So I guess now I'm at the end, I'll just talk a little bit about myself. You've got your bit here. I'll do my closing, and then after that, I'll just ramble a bit. So, I'm from the internet. This is an actual Minisode. This is a Minisode. I'm just going to put this on the feed so you have your update there. Again, I'm very sorry for the past month of radio silence. This was not intended, and it's just real life being weird. Once I'm moved back in, we should be able to resume our old upload schedule. I'm very excited about that. I'm pretty hyped. One thing you can do in the meantime is if you want, I've guested on a couple shows. Last month, the day I drove up here, actually, I was a guest on the Ain't Shit show, and so it's sort of I guess if I had to describe it, it's sort of Come Town like, but it's like positive. The guy who hosts it's really interesting. He's been on Western Kabuki a couple times. So I've been listening to Western Kabuki, and I've been enjoying it. It's like a podcast about like modern internet stuff. That's like some Twitter people I like. Alex Goldman, like the non-problematic half of Reply All, is the producer on it, and it's very fun. I'm enjoying it a lot, and they've actually reached out to me about being a guest on it. So I guess that's another idol / influence on my whole steez I can check off. I've gotten to meet both the Duck Feed boys. Now I'm going to meet Alex Goldman, Brennan from Reply All. So it's like, man, all the people who kind of taught me how to talk about the internet on the internet think I'm cool now. That's very validating in a way that I think is fun. But anyways, yeah, so that was an interesting one because I had literally been awake for like 36 hours and I had driven from Jacksonville, Florida to Atlantic City, New Jersey overnight. Okay, yeah, let me talk about the drive. The drive was very funny. So yeah, it was because basically the plan was in the middle of June, I ended my lease early. In my apartment complex, you had to give them a 60-day notice. So I figured, okay, I have 2 months left. I'll just, I have to pay for it, so I'll just stay here and do this. And the first month of that, I'm going to be honest, like the actual work is fine. But the thing is, it was like, I know I'm moving in 2 months, so like I can't really get anything or go anywhere because it's like I'm just going to be leaving it behind probably, and I can't like start up any new relations. Like it was one of those things where it was just like you can't really do anything, and at the same time, it's like all the shit you're trying to escape is there. So it was like just not a good mindscape to be in. That's also like you might have noticed like last in early July, I had like a period where I like locked my Twitter account and everything, and that was why. It was like some of my old friends were causing some drama for me on like the anniversary of my last breakup, and it really sucked. But thankfully it's over at least. Now they're on the other side of the country, and I don't have to care about them anymore, which is nice. And so eventually Fred reached out to me and was like, would you be interested in coming up here earlier than August? Because I could really use your help right now. And I was like, don't need to ask me twice. So I just packed everything in my car, including my rats. They've been my good boys. I feel bad about how long they've had to be in the travel cage, but I do what I can to help. Like every day I like take them out and let them like run around on the bed in the hotel, and I play with them, and I get them out, and I'm really happy. I'm looking forward to getting them back in the nice big cage that's bigger than I am. But luckily they seem to be holding up, and it's been kind of fun sneaking them into hotels and doing the hotel life with them. But yeah. Also, a fun thing is Frederick Brennan actually listens to and likes the show, which is fun. We had to drive. One of the things we had to do is we're trying right now. We're in the process of trying to get him his non-driver's identification card. And paradoxically, if you want an identification card but not a driver's license, you have to go way farther. Like in New Jersey, it's like an hour plus drive away. So you think like people who don't have cars, these are the people who have a hard time getting around. Why are you making it harder for them? But so that's why one thing we're working on, it's just like getting a bunch of documents and everything for that. But when we had to do that drive, we listened to the episode, the 2-parter on the juice, which you might remember was also the episode where I announced that I was working for Frederick Brennan, and there was like kind of like a moment of panic because like Winslow like only is like 8chan. Oh wait, you mean like the and having to explain like, wait, no, it's not that. He wasn't. You guys know it. You guys know the whole story now. It's cool. But yeah, and I will say in person, like, yeah, it's so it was very funny when that whole thing came up, and he was like, "Oh no, do your friends not like me?" It was very funny. We had like kind of a laugh over it because But no, he's been very nice to work for and fun. I'm enjoying it a whole lot. Like, I was worried, like, when working for a friend, it's one of those things where it's like, oh, God, I hope it's like, I hope this doesn't, like, fuck up our friendship or make the working relationship weird. But no, it's great. It's fun. We're both pretty similar. Like, I mean, I feel like we have, like, we have, like, autistic similarities, I feel. Like, the way that, just the way we interact and stuff. So it's been fun. I'm enjoying it a lot. The work has been fun. I'm just kind of doing, I'm basically, I'm kind of like, we were talking once, and once Fred joked that I'm like a white version of Huel from Breaking Bad, because yeah, it's like I'm just like the fixer. I just take care of problems for him. Where it's like, it's a lot. Usually that's like going to McDonald's or they're running to Acme and getting him some groceries. Or that is another fun thing about New Jersey. There's a grocery chain called Acme up here. I didn't know Acme was a real thing. Like, it's great. Yeah, apparently I think the way that Fred explained it to me, I don't know if this is true, but I like his little explanation was that like Acme was one of the first grocery stores to do like store brands. So in the old Looney Tunes cartoons, the joke was like with Acme anvils and Acme rockets and stuff. The joke was like this grocery store makes store brands of everything, even stuff that no grocery store would sell, which that is one of the that's a very funny bit of context that I never picked up on. But yeah, no, it is neat. I will say I do miss Publix, but Acme is the closest thing to a Publix I found up here. So it's I go there for the BOGOs. It's nice. I like the name. But anyways, yeah. So, White Huel. So, like, I built him a PC. I've gotten to drive the modified handicap van a couple of times, which is very fun. Like, it's an older vehicle, and it turns a little heavy, but it's fun, and it's neat getting to learn. Just in general, so much of the stuff, like one of the things Fred has like this $1,000 camera, and I want to like it's like a decent like workhorse camera from what I understand, and I do want to like do like a little mini doc just about like all the fun little like adaptations they make, like to just live daily life in a house when it's like a family of 3 people that are all in motorized wheelchairs. And it's just interesting seeing how everything is set up. And also because like just with the way that the osteogenesis imperfecta works, like, you know, like Fred's arm, like one of Fred's arms is really bent like a 90-degree angle. And like, you know, like these are people who have to like just have the way that they're accessible. It's so interesting. Just like the fridge, where it's like that explain, okay, stuff on the left side of the fridge is easy to reach. Stuff on the right side of the fridge is a little harder to reach. Stuff in the back we can't reach, so that's where you can put stuff. And it is just neat seeing, and also just the little fun bits of environmental storytelling, like the bottoms of the washing machine and dryer having just like a line straight across them from being bumped into by the motorized wheelchairs all the time, just as part of like loading, or how they're both front loaders because you can't use a top loader when you're in a wheelchair because you could fall into it. Or at least like when you're a little person, like when you have osteogenesis imperfecta, Fred has type 4, if that helps you look it up. It's basically osteogenesis imperfecta. I've been learning a lot about it too, and it's been interesting because like it's something, there's something like 40 different versions of it. So it just affects people differently. And also like one of the neat things too is how like it also affects teeth, which I didn't realize. Like literally once it was like, okay, like because one of our early appointments was we were gonna go to the dentist. He was like, oh, never mind, the tooth just fell out. Like also it is very like it's one of those, you know how doctors are. It's like his thing is like I have like this, you know, I have like this congenital I don't know if that's the right word for it. He's like, I have this like problem with my bones that makes it so my teeth are all fucked up and are gonna fall out. I want to just like I just want to get like implants or dentures now, but my dentist refuses to do that, so I just don't care anymore. So it's like, so he's like, I don't care, I'll just let them fall out. So yeah, I'm sorry if that was a gross oversharing thing, but this is something like we've talked about before. Don't worry, I signed a privacy agreement when I worked for him, so like all the stuff I talk about is stuff that's like he's posted about or talked about in public, or it's just like my stuff. I'm not blowing up my boss's stuff or you know, putting my employment on the line here. This is all stuff that's cool. He's someone who kind of overshares in some ways. Like it's very funny. He's been like talking about like Amazon Web Services. Like he's been getting his account has like his contact info on it, and it's like causing problems. He's like, no, Amazon, just let me dox myself. I don't care. So I got to open up a P.O. box. Yeah, that's right. And that's fun. I didn't tell Winslow about this yet, but yeah, I checked with Fred, and he said we can list the P.O. box on our show. So if you guys want to send us like a letter or our physical stuff, like you can do that. So I'm not expecting anyone to, but I figure why not take advantage of that? We paid for we paid for the biggest P.O. box they have because he uses it to get all the shipping stuff. So I figured, you know, anything you guys send us, we can handle. Also, just like as like an internet person, I really enjoy getting like in person and getting to see like what using the internet is like for Fred. Like I had to see like the Discord page, and it's just like the side is just top to bottom DMs with like big red messages. He's like, yeah, people just try and talk to me constantly. Like that's one of the things that we're working out is maybe at some point I'll get access to his like social media so I can help manage that for him, because he's just like, yeah, I just always have like all these like crazy people coming out of the woodwork to accuse me of about things. It is very funny just like how occasionally like some like QAnon person, or apparently there's like a new variety of QAnon called Stewanon, which when I saw that I thought it was a joke, like a stew conspiracy theory. I could get into that. I do like me some liquid with some food in it. But then no, it turns out it was like no, it's because the guy's name is Stuart or something. So Stewanon is like his version of it. But yeah, and I am enjoying that. It's very fun kind of being immersed in this world. Like one thing about Fred is like just because of like the circles he travels in, like he does know and like interact with some people that people I probably wouldn't have, but like nothing like that I'd say is like bad. You know, it's just kind of like weird internet people in a way that I think is fun and cool. And you know, and Also, a fun thing is like, since I'm a podcaster, he said like one of my fun things is he's like, I get to handle all of his podcast guesting things, so that's fun. Like we had our first show approach about having it for an interview, and he's like, my PA is a podcaster, he handles all this, and he forwarded it to me, and I was like, oh yeah, I don't listen to the show, but I know these people, they're good. This guy's been a guest on some stuff I listen to. I say go for it. So yeah, I'm not going to say who it is, but maybe if he does go on it, I'll mention it there, and maybe I can get him to do a plug on there. That'd be cool, yeah. Oh, yeah, so anyways, that does remind me, circling back. So I did guest on the Ain't Shit show. Another guest spot, I'm trying to think about that I might have done recently. Yeah, on my birthday earlier this year in February, I was a guest on a podcast called CRT Sound System, which is a podcast about video game music. I was on the episode about Bomberman Hero because I love that game soundtrack a lot, and it's really interesting, and it does not sound like an N64 game at all. It's great. I love that game soundtrack a lot. There's a YouTuber, a smaller YouTuber I follow who did they've been doing a YouTube series. Like, if you're familiar with the iceberg, with like videos where it's like basically it's like a meme people make where it's like an iceberg, and at the top is like the most socially, like, commonly knowledgeable stuff. At the bottom is like the most like super hardcore archaic stuff. And then there's like a whole subgenre of YouTube videos of people explaining iceberg images for certain communities or fandoms or whatever. And this person has been doing them on the furry community, and actually when they first started, they were in my Discord and we messaged a bit, and they asked me some stuff and actually shouted me out in it, which was kind of cool. A YouTube channel did a whole like 2-hour video on That One Amazing Movie based on the fact that I did my video on it, and they shouted me out in it and linked it out in it, so that's cool. Enough talk about me. Steve, our producer, he got to perform at DEF CON a week or two last weekend, which is really cool. So he had some really badass pictures of him and his wife driving this cool car around, like, the desert. I'll have to get I'll try and link his set and everything in the show notes. But just in general, don't worry, don't think we've been resting on our laurels. Everyone has been very busy, or in Steve's case, he caught COVID-19. So yeah, it's not like everyone's just been sitting on our laurels, just being like, those people aren't getting their show. We've been like so much weird life stuff has been going on, but I'm very happy that things are finally going to be kind of, I'm going to have a home, like a place to live again and get back into it. And I'm just really, really happy about this new part of my life. I gotta say, New Jersey is like I don't get why people badmouth New Jersey. Like, now that I've been here for like a month, almost a month and a half now, and it's like, yeah, like Atlantic City is great. Like it's very funny. I'm realizing whenever people complain about a city being like trashy or dangerous, whenever I get there, I'm like, oh, they just mean there's non-white people and also like people existing in public. Like, that's just how it always feels. Like, whenever I go to these places, like, I haven't had to deal with anyone scary or unpleasant in the way that like I would in Florida. It's just, yeah, and also like Atlantic City itself, I haven't gotten to go to the touristy parts that much. Like, my first night, I did, because Fred gave me some travel expenses. He was like, go downtown, stay at a nice hotel your first night. And originally, and I was gonna stay at a nicer hotel, but eventually I was like, oh boy, I'm not, I don't, hotels are one of those things like wine, where it's like there's no ceiling on how much money you can spend on them, but the diminishing returns start very quickly. So I was like, I don't feel comfortable spending $1/3 on one night at a hotel, even if it is like as a big special treat. So I wound up finding a place called the Showboat, where I stayed for $100, and it's very funny. The Showboat is a Louisiana / New Orleans themed hotel. So I literally spent a day. It's like I drove across the country to get away from being in the South, and I stayed at like a South riverboat themed casino. It would be like if someone from New Jersey drove down to Florida in like one day long marathon and then stayed at like a New York themed hotel. It's so funny. Also, yeah, just legal weed. Oh my God, legal weed is so good. I love it. It's great. It's fantastic. Yeah, the prices are the prices are great compared to it's just, oh, I love it so much. It's great. Kind of makes up for the fact that I'm probably not going to be able to get my prescriptions and everything for a while. But, just because, like, first I have to have a place to live. And then it's like, like, I'm probably not going to have insurance for a while just because we're getting everything set up. But I've been rambling a bunch. So I just want to say I'm really loving this job. Like, one of my funny things about me is I'm someone who's just kind of always prepared, or always seems to like know like stuff that people need. And like, this job is literally just, that's it. That job is being the guy who helps people with things or knows what to do, and just little things like just types of food, or like types of gadgets, or like when we were doing some stuff, I was like, oh, we should get some moving straps for this. And they're like, what's moving straps? And I got to explain what moving straps are. Like, basically this very like eclectic, odd life I've lived up till now has actually done a great job preparing me for what I'm doing now. And it's not perfect. I have it hasn't been perfect. There have been like a couple growing pains, but like for the most part, I think the worst was like for the most part, it's just been I'm liking the job. I'm really liking working with Fred. And I'm not just saying that because he's paying me. I want to tell you that. It's fun. It's great. And just in general, like, kind of as like a friend to have like a person to have like I like having someone that I can talk to, like who's, I know, like Winslow mentioned in the episode itself, like, I made some mildly spicy posts to rile up some goons, and he created 8chan. Those are two completely different tiers of thing, but I do feel like a kindred spirit with him, and also, but in some ways we are different. Like, I don't feel like we're not like the same person, and I think that's good and cool. Like, I mean, obviously, he's like, he will tell you himself that he is a crank and he is eclectic and everything, and I'm glad that I am too, and it's fun to be around someone like that, and just kind of I'm learning a lot about free software, and even though I'm someone who browsed Yas posts on Something Awful back in the day, I'm learning a lot more about Richard Stallman than even I knew. It's very fun. It's like it's like, oh, that's what that picture of him with a laser disc on his head is from. Okay. Yeah, no, I'm really enjoying it, and also Fred is a really fun person to be around, because he's one of those people that is like super brilliant at one specific thing, but also like he's kind of a savant, where it's like, I don't mean that, I know that's kind of a loaded term, especially when talking about autistic people, but I'm autistic, so I feel like I can use that. But yeah, he is kind of where it's like, it's very fun to be in that space of someone who is like very brilliant at something, but also just like on other things, it's kind of like, not. And it's fun. It's cool. It's a neat way of viewing the world and interacting with someone. And I feel like he enjoys having me around, and I feel bad whenever I occasionally mess up, or maybe do something that make him feel make him feel like I'm not enjoying it or whatever, because I'm having a great time. Also, a very fun bonus to the job has been getting to meet his and become friends with his family and their pets and everything. His mom is adorable. I want to see if she'll let me interview her, because she's really interesting. She's almost 70, which from what Fred told me, people with their type of osteogenesis imperfecta, I think 55 is the normal life expectation. She just had really good medical care growing up, because she grew up back before our healthcare fell apart. And also she had a much better environment growing up in. I don't know how much Fred has talked about his growing up trauma, so I won't, but man, oh boy, poor guy. Again, it makes me glad I can take care of him, because he's someone who's had to go through so much shit in his life, even outside of his disability. It makes me glad that I can be that I can just let me take care of the bullshit. You can just do your programming and have fun, and his hobbies are very fun too. I'm a lost media person. I didn't realize that he's also very much into he has huge stacks of books and DVDs waiting to be scanned and uploaded and everything. That's one of the things I help with. It's fun. And today I was actually going to be driving his mom somewhere on her day off, because again, she has to go to a doctor. She has to go to a doctor, and it's an hour drive, and it's I was going to drive her so she didn't have to take a transport, but then it was the van was having issues, and I'm just having a great time. It's also, this is the first time in my life I've ever been the closest I've ever been to this was when I was working for that insurance company, the last year or two of it, or even then it was I was stable, but I didn't really have this one. It's I'm realizing it's a part of why I don't realize it is because I've been living at a hotel. So it's when I do the math, I'm actually I'm actually paying more a month staying for the hotels than I will for my apartment. So, I mean, granted, with apartment, I'll probably have to, there'll be other expenses and stuff, but basically it is one of those things where it's I'm kind of I kind of lose track of how much money I actually have until I look at my bank account. It's oh yeah, it's nice to actually be making a living wage. and being able to, I like that I don't have to stress about every dollar anymore. It's so freeing. Like, I was thinking about that the other day, where it was like, you know, like when I worked at AutoZone earlier this year, I was making like $11 an hour before tax. Like so basically when, like, you know, I'm trying to think like $10, you know, something that would cost me $10. That was like an hour of work, and also like a good chunk of like my weekly income. Whereas now it's like, you know, if $10 isn't nothing, but it is nice to be able to be like, you know what, I want to, you know, if I don't need to stress about this $10 thing, because I know I have the $10. It's very free. So yeah. Anyways, thank you for joining me. I'm maybe a little stir crazy from living in hotels for so long, but maybe, you know, I hope you got some good audio out of this. I'm gonna wrap this up. I'm gonna enjoy some legal weed and gonna, you know, have some playtime with the rats. I got a big stack of laptops I've been fixing and powering up. That's been very fun. I got a bunch of stickers of Fred's Fursona I've been putting up all over Atlantic City, which is very fun. So if you live in Atlantic City and you see a sticker of a green raccoon on a street sign, that's Fred, and I did that. Also, I've been raging like a one-man war against like a local auto detailing company, because those of you who know my lore will know that like one of my things that I really like am personally like, I am engaged in a personal war against bandit signs, and there's this local auto detailing company that has like just put these, like, they made bumper stickers advertising their business, just like text with like the business name and numbers. It's like the ugliest thing ever, and they just like wallpapered everything around here. So it's like a fun hobby. It's whenever I stop somewhere, I walk and just go and I peel them all off, and I'm collecting them all in a big bag. And then once I have like enough of them, or once I get bored, I'm gonna go to the auto detailing place. I'm gonna dump the bag of like torn up signs all over their front office and be like, now you know how it feels when some asshole goes to the place that you live and work and just covers it in stickers. Yeah. But yeah, you know, I'm cleaning up the streets, literally. And also, man, I'm really looking forward to having a kitchen again. Let me tell you, as someone who likes to cook, living out of a microwave and a mini fridge for a month and a half has not been fun. I gotta admit, like, in a way, it is kind of nice to be like, again, kind of the money thing, be like, yeah, I'll just eat junk food. It's neat. And that's why I'm treating this. This is a weird liminal period in my life where I'm just waiting, and things are just kind of moving at different speeds. So I'm just like, you know what? I'm not going to sweat it. I'm going to enjoy it, because one day I'm going to look back at this and I'm going to miss the time when I had this quiet. So yeah. And, also that the local, I signed up for Bark. Fun, since people follow this, since one of my kind of, services as a podcaster is teaching people about weird furry lore. Bark, BARQ, like the root beer, is actually the current big furry social networking app. Like I don't want to call it a hookup app, but basically it's like Grindr for furries, or Tinder for furries. I guess it's location based. You sign up, you make your profile, you list your. It is one of those things where it's funny, because it's like it is like a thing where it's explicitly like, not just, it's not a hookup act. It's like it's for me. You can make, like, I'm asexual. I go there to make friends and stuff. But also it is one of those things where they straight up have a section. You can like list like all your specific kinks and stuff. If you're like, it's just one of those that's the thing about being a furry, where it's like both hypersexual and asexual at the same time. It's just very funny and weird and fun. But yeah, the local furries have been pretty interesting. I've gotten to message a couple of them, and hopefully I'll get to meet some of them in the future. Let me think of anything. Oh yeah, Atlantic City itself. I'm still not sick of driving past all the Monopoly street names. It's very funny. When I drove up here, I actually took my version of Jacksonvilleopoly with me. So one day I'm going to play that with Fred, so I can be like, now you get to play it with all my street names. You could be like, what the hell is a Neptune Beach? But yeah, no, I gotta say, don't miss Florida at all. Like, it's very funny. Although, I guess on that note, one thing I do want to mention, I'm sure I mentioned it before, but I do, another one of the things that has been kind of on hold from the move is my new show I've been working on with a woman from Jacksonville, Karina. She's like an artist and like an activist. That is one thing I would say is she joined our Discord, my Discord about a month and a half ago, and she's been a lot of fun to have around. She's posting up a storm there. I like it because she's someone who's like, she's like kind of my plug-in for like the TikTok world, where like I don't use TikTok. I've made videos for it sometimes, but like I don't really enjoy using it, but she like digs through it and finds stuff. And also she's a Christian, which is fun because she's like one of those cool leftist Christians that like there aren't that many of them, but whenever you meet one, they're always like really neat. And also, I guess, like, because it's the specifics of our show, like, one of the reasons why is the show that our show, State of Disflorida, where it's about originally the premise was about how I was like, I want to leave and she wants to stay and fix it. But now the premise is I did leave and she's still there. And it's going to be us talking about like Florida local events and stuff. But anyways, she's been hanging out there. She's been very fun. And, and just in general, also like it makes me like, you know, as as like a cis white creator, a cis white dude, it does make me happy that like I have like other artists I can work with that I can like platform and also like help out that aren't, you know, because like I can't do anything about the fact that I am this, and it's like I still want to create things, but at the same time I'm aware of privilege and you know, inequality. I want to do what I can to help with it, and I'm really excited about working with her and doing that. She's a very fun person to be around. And I like it because she's also someone where I feel like, you know, 5 or 7 years ago, I probably wouldn't have like, you know, tried to be friends with her because I probably would have been like, oh, she's, you know, just she's very much like not the type of internet person I normally like that normally fills up like my Twitter feed or whatever. And that's part of why I like being friends with her. It's different. Any other fun Atlantic City stuff to think about before I close it? See, yeah, I'm going 40 minutes now. Let's see. No garbage. No disposable. There's no plastic bags at the grocery stores here, which rules. Like honestly, everyone should do it. It's annoying for like a week, and then you get used to it, and then you just have your bags. And honestly, like disposable plastic bags suck. Everyone hates them. They're they're flimsy. They break. They clutter up your. No one likes them, but it's just. Do it. Like, I think more people should. Also, I will say one thing I'm not used to is like the driving laws. Like Florida is very like, you know, being Florida, it's kind of just like if you want to make like a left turn in the middle, if you want to make a U-turn in like in the middle of like a 4-lane highway, you can. Whereas here, it's like they have what they call jug handle turns, where instead of being able to make a U-turn in the middle of the road, there's like you go in the right lane, and then there's like a road that loops off and then turns around like a handle on like an old timey jug, like the one I blow into when I'm on the Country Bear Jamboree, and so that's how you do it. And honestly, like, it makes sense. It's safer. And also I like it because like one of the things that always annoy me about that in Florida is like, you know, traditionally the left lane is the fast lane. It's where you go to pass people or when you want to go faster. But if you have to turn from the left lane, then you need to slow down or like, you know, watch your things. So there was always like a lot of friction there where you have like, you know, one of the metal people getting really angry that person in the left lane is slowing down to make a turn because they're a safe driver, you know. But yeah, so far I'm just having a great time. I hit up the Crocs store here. I got some sweet new Crocs. I feel nice and colorful. It is very funny. Living in a place with a Crocs store, I find like discarded or lost like Crocs charms everywhere on the ground here. Just like I bought a couple for mine. And I got like a panda one, of course, because I'm me. And it fell off. Like, yeah, those things fall off like immediately. I'm sorry. Like, those things are $5 a pop. You would think that they would at least like stay on. Tying into the money thing, that was very neat. It made me think about like back in the day, I would be like, oh no, I'm like be so stressed about buying those. Now it's like, no, you know what? Big deal. It's 4 for $20. I'll buy 4 of them, and I can just write that off because it's a nice thing to have. And once I'm settled, I do hopefully can, you know, once I'm settled and like properly have like everything done, I'm curious to see what I can do with this. So, anyways, I'm having a great time. You know, just doing all this. Doing everything. I guess kind of a funny note to end on was yesterday. One of the things I did was they had like a closet that they don't really use that I was like cleaning out to move stuff into. And one of the problems they had before I came there was they had like a mouse infestation, not like infestation, but they had like a problem with mice because they live in public housing and it's like an old what his mom does, and he lives with his mom. It's his whole thing, but his mom lives there, and it's like, you know, it's like older buildings, and also like and there's like crawl spaces, so the mice get around. But I haven't seen any since I got there. But yesterday I was cleaning out the thing, and I found a bunch of like bait stations with like half-eaten poison in them, and also like a bunch of like remnants of mice nests, like a bunch of their little droppings and like the little nests, like stuff they'd torn up, but no actual mice. So I'm just like basically cleaning up like like the home of some long dead mice, and being like, I'm not gonna look my rats in the eyes when I come home from work today. No, that is very funny though. It wasn't upsetting, or you'd think it might be, but no. That's just how that's how compartmentalization works. You know, there are little rodents that are out in nature that are pests, and then there are little rodents that are domesticated and companions. And yeah, oh, my little guys. They're right over there. I'm watching them. They're just sleeping in a big pile. It's very cute. Fred's mom, one of her treats that she likes is she likes to get the turtle flavored, the caramel turtle flavored Chex Mix, but she doesn't eat the pretzels because they're too hard for her teeth. So she picks them out and so she was like, "Would your rats like them?" And I was like, "Okay." So she gave like a big plastic baggie full of all the little pretzels she had like lovingly plucked out of her Chex Mix as she ate it. And yeah, it's been a great rat treat. They love it because it has some sweetness on it. So just she's she's such a sweet lady. And honestly, that is like such a fun bonus to this job. Is like it is like the job is for Fred. I joke like she's like when I do stuff with her, it's like on my own time. But I am very glad that I get to help this kind of sweet old lady who's like, you know, like she's on episode like 1000 something of Dark Shadows right now. She's like a soap opera person. Like all day I have like whenever I'm at Fred's place working, I'll hear like the musical stings from Dark Shadows just blaring in the background because she's older and her hearing isn't super good, so she has to have it up. But again, and also his I want to call them his brother, but they are non-binary and they prefer to they them pronouns. So I don't know like what the non-binary sibling, I guess their sibling is very interesting too. I didn't really know much about them, but like I'm not, and because you know they're not as public as Fred, I'm not gonna like blow them up here, but like they do some interesting like creative stuff with Dreams, I think it's called, that Microsoft creation station. And also they've worked at the college around here as a teacher, and they're actually going to start up again in the fall. So that was a fun thing to kind of bond over, was like talk about teaching stuff and like teaching stuff in my case. And you know, and again, just it's very funny being here in this nice interesting family. And then I go online and I see like all the crazy QAnon people talking about like how it really is one of those things that I guess to kind of pull it all back together, you know, you might remember from the Pastor Travis episode that, you know, that basically that one of the things I found really moving about him was the fact that he had this was the fact that he had ultimately found the place on this at the summer camp as like a camp counselor, and had become like a figure that like a group of people could rely upon and look up to. And I feel like that's kind of the role I'm finding myself here as his personal assistant, where in this house, you know, I feel I'm someone where I feel very appreciated. Like this job is maybe one of the most fulfilling I've ever done, just because even like these people genuinely appreciate the fact that I'm helping them with stuff that they can't do or that they struggle with. And I'm glad to be out of the pub. I'm just really, really enjoying this. Thank you so much. I know I'm rambling, so I'm going to close up now. But again, you know, thank you for listening to the show. And again, like in a weird way, like the Twitter account is why this happened, but the show is a part of that. So, you know, in a weird way, all of you listening are a part of just all this wonderful new stage of my life I'm in now. Like it's very weird to be a rising star in a world that feels like it's crashing down around you. But I'm glad that good things are happening to me, and I wish there's the one sad thing is looking back, it's like, oh, there's so many people in Florida I wish I could take up here. You know, I wish I could save them, but I can't. So at least I'm taking care of myself and having a really interesting and fulfilling and quite decently paying life on top of that. So yeah. Anyways, thanks for listening, and I'm from the internet.